Welcome. So in this video, we'll be answering this question before us. It's saying that we need to solve the following for theta, and we've got this right here. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to rearrange this so we just have cos of 2 theta by itself. So that means we're going to end up with this. And I'm also just going to write my domain in different notation. I'm going to say theta is an element of negative pi to pi. So that's obviously the same thing. I've just written it differently, and you'll see why I've done that soon. Just kind of helps with the visual. The next thing that I'm going to do, and this is very important, and that is I need to take note of the fact that I'm dealing with 2 theta here. And so I'm going to have to change that. So let's go let x equal 2 theta. So now I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to write it as cos, whoopsie daisy, cos of x is equal to the square root of 3 on 2. And I also need to make sure that my domain now is in terms of x. So it needs to be x is an element of something here. So how is that going to affect things? Well, if I'm dealing with 2 theta, let's come up here and let's multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. If I do that, what I'm going to end up with is 2 theta is an element of negative 2 pi on 2 pi. And now, as you can see here, if x is equal to 2 theta, or 2 theta is equal to x, so that means right here it's just going to be 2 pi, 2 pi. Perfect. So hopefully that makes sense, because getting to this part right here is the most important part. If you can get to this and make sure your domain is correct as well, the rest is just a normal solving a trigonometric equation problem. It's just getting to this part that people sometimes have difficulty with. So now what we're going to have to figure out is what is x going to be equal to. And hopefully you're able just to look at this and say, well, my reference angle that I'm going to be dealing with is pi on 6. So I'm going to go x is going to be equal to, now I'm going to leave some space here because I realize I'm going to have to work backwards, but my first one's going to be pi on 6. Now, if you're having some trouble generating that, what you could do is use your special triangle and go, this is going to be 2, 1, the square root of 3. This up here is pi on 6. This down here is pi on 3. Now, if I'm dealing with cos of an angle which is getting me to negative 3 pi on 2, well, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent would be this, hypotenuse would be that. So my answer is pi on 6. So that's how you could use your special triangle to help you out here. Now we also need to figure out which quadrants I'm existing in. So let's draw our unit circle here. And the way I like to think about this is, cos is my x-axis, and it's equal to it's equal to the square root of 3 on 2, which is here. So that means I'm existing in my first quadrant, and I'm existing in my fourth quadrant. So that means I'm dealing with pi on 6 here, so this one up here is pi on 6. And then the other angle that I'm dealing with is going to be 11 pi on 6. So I'm going to put 11 pi on 6 here. Now, because I'm going from negative 2 pi to 2 pi, I have to work backwards here. So let's get another color here. I'm going to have to work backwards. So I'm going to have to go minus 2 pi here and minus 2 pi here. So be careful that you don't make a mistake here. If you need to, just take some space over here and go 11 pi on 6 minus 2 pi. Well, that's just going to be 6, 12, which will be negative pi on 6. So this here will be negative pi on 6. And then the other one that I'm dealing with is pi on 6 minus 12 pi on 6, which will be, 11 pi on 6. 11 pi on 6. And sorry, negative 11 pi on 6. So I'll put negative 11 pi on 6 there. Now, next thing that people often make a mistake on is if I'm dealing with x is equal to that, take note of the fact that we don't want our final answer in x. Rather, it says that we need to solve for theta. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to say x is equal to 2 theta. And now we would write all this out, negative 11 pi on 6, negative pi on 6, pi on 6, and 11 pi on 6. I need it just to be in terms of theta now, not that 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to times it by a half. And by doing that, I'm ending up timesing all my denominators by 2 here. So that means what my final answer is going to be is theta is equal to negative 11 pi on 12, negative pi on 12, pi on 12, and 11 pi on 12. And those are my answers. So let's put a box around that. Perfect. So hopefully that makes sense of how I approached this question, and hopefully you were able to get these answers yourself. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.